Welcome to Mindshift. I'm Brandon, and happy Thanksgiving. I'm sorry to those of you who typically tune in on Thursdays to watch a secular Bible study series episode. We will be getting back to Jeremiah next week. But for today, I thought it would be fun to do something a little more topical. And one of the things that I hear all the time is that the atheist can have no meaning. And on a day like Thanksgiving, where I am grateful for the mass amount of wonderful things and the meaning that I have in my life, I thought I would share that with you. Once again, many Christians believe that a non-believer simply cannot have any meaning. What could matter if we weren't created by a higher power? And then if there's nothing to look forward to after we die, doesn't that just mean everything here doesn't matter at all? I'd argue that it means the exact opposite. If you're going to live forever, who cares about the next 70 years? And unfortunately, that's how many Christians do think. But if you don't have forever, the next 70 years matters a lot. And no, there may not be an objective meaning. We are here through evolutionary pressures, and that's it. And I'm totally fine with that. It doesn't change how I feel. It doesn't change how the people around me feel. It doesn't change the impact that I can have in the world during the time that I'm here, even if ultimately it's all meaningless and forgotten in the end. So what? You know what's real? My children are real. Their feelings are real. Their sense of security that I can provide for them is real. The harm that could befall them, the feelings and pains that they could have are real. And my ability to protect them from those things and to guide them through those things matters. And nothing any Christian says can ever take that away from me. And maybe it only matters for a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of this universe. So what? It does matter. They're real. They really feel these things. And I get the opportunity to lead them, guide them, love them, care for them, protect them, etc. That's unbelievable. Not unbelievable enough to make me just say God must exist, but unbelievable enough to cherish. If you're a believer and you have children, you understand. What makes you think just because I don't believe that my children were a gift from God, that I can't love them just as much, enjoy them just as much, or find as much meaning in being a parent as you? And not all Christians think that, by the way. I don't want today's episode to be divisive at all. I want it to be helpful. I want it to be inclusive of everyone, including atheists that have the same right that the believer does to be happy and to be grateful for that happiness. We live in a world with pleasures and pains. That's a fact. Sentient beings are aware of those pleasures and pains, humans being one of them. And as a fellow Homo sapien, I can understand that I'm not that different from the rest of my species. And if there's something that hurts me, it probably hurts someone else, maybe to a different degree or maybe not at all, but most likely. And typically speaking, again, majoring in the majors here, when someone gives us a hug or says a nice word of encouragement, it feels good. Where those pleasures and pains come from and what they mean, and if anything happens because of what we do about them, and if there's another realm after this one, etc. I'm not saying it's unimportant. I think it would be important to understand, if we can understand, that there is another life or that there is a higher power. At this point, I really don't believe that the man-made ones we have put in place of those things are real, nor that we have any good evidence to believe in a specific one. So I'm agnostic to the whole, maybe there's a creator, maybe there's something bigger going on here. I don't know, but I don't have to know to understand our current circumstance and situation. So again, in finding common ground, can we admit that we have an effect? Maybe it's just on ourselves. Maybe it's on a few loved ones around us, or maybe we have a wider reach. But people matter, and what people think, say, and do has consequence, both good and bad. And you can think that I'm from the devil and that I'm completely deceived and that I'm wanting to bring people to hell with me. And as ignorant as those ideas would be, I wonder if you can see past them for a minute to understand that I, as a person who feels pain and pleasure and can also empathize, that other people probably feel similarly to me. And through some compassion that might be selfish in nature from an evolutionary perspective, or you believe to be given by a greater power, allows me to, again, sympathize, empathize with these other sentient creatures. And because of that, like it or not, I have a interest in helping to alleviate suffering. I'm not virtue signaling. I am not more moral than you. I am a determinist, which means I believe I am 100% a product of things that are outside of my control. And so if there's bad parts of me, I try to take as much responsibility as I can for them. I try to learn from them when they're exposed. And for the good parts, I try not to take any credit, which makes me very, very grateful for my situation in life. To use a believer's word, I would be very blessed. Blessed to be born when and where I was. Blessed to be in good health for the most part. Blessed to have the privilege of not being born a slave, not being born into a famine, not being born into an abusive family, to be born with a certain set of genetics and a certain personality and distinction and mind that was capable of growing and learning, that had opportunities and influences that allowed me to be able to get jobs and provide for my family, to live in a country where there were certain freedoms accorded to me, to find a wife that I've been able to commit and love for well over a decade, that I've built a beautiful family with, to have friends that despite our huge differences, we've been able to remain close, to have hobbies and passions and interest and the luxury and the privilege of the time and money to be able to indulge in them. What an awesome life I have. And I know that there are many people that don't have an awesome life. I'm not boasting about any of the privileges I've been afforded through factors that are not of my doing. I am stating how aware I am, how much perspective, luckily, I have been granted to see how unfair this world is. And since I believe and have come to terms with the fact that there is no God that is desiring for our pleasures here, that is looking after us, that is answering prayers, we are all we've got. And I'm grateful to know that because it induced action that I previously did not take when I was a believer. Sure, I tithed, but where did that money go? To the pastor's pocket, their nicer house than what I lived in. I gave offerings when I could, but I was kind of tapped out from the tithing. And who cares anyway? God had a plan. God was going to do his plan. He didn't need me. I'd be a vessel if he wanted me to be. I'd give if he asked, or when I thought that he asked. But all I had to do was pray. Prayer was the most powerful thing in the world if you had the right faith. But now I know better, and I'm grateful to know better, and I'm excited to be able to make a difference. Again, not bragging here, but I know that this channel is making a difference because you guys are kind enough to let me know that. What an immense amount of purpose I can have from knowing that I get to reach a pretty wide audience with a message that I consider to be truth, hope, real meaning, an understanding of our finitude, and that with all that information, I can hopefully encourage others to do as I've done, which is take more action. Creating this channel was a direct result of understanding that I could make a difference and that there was no God who was going to, that this religion is harmful and that other people are in that harm and that I don't want them to be in that harm. And I might have something to say about it that could help them either prevent it, minimize it, or get out of it. That's where a lot of my meaning is. It's also, of course, with my family. It's with my friends. It's with my hobbies and passions and interests. Even at my work, it might just be a means to an end. But man, I'm grateful to have it. Many of you watching have had a way harder life. Whether you're a believer or a non-believer, you have been exposed to circumstances that I have not had to. You have been born into families or cultures or countries or situations that have caused immense harm. And many of you believe or don't believe specifically because of that harm and the lenses of which you have chosen to view it or have viewed it because of, again, these outside perspectives. We don't have to agree about determinism or free will or anything like that. And it would take a lot more explaining than I want to do in this video to get rid of a lot of the fallacies that are typically associated with it. The word determined is just ripe with erroneous ways to conceive of that word. But what this understanding has given me is perspective, gratitude, and empathy. It's why I don't hate Christians. It's why I don't blame the people that were involved in my indoctrination for my indoctrination, even though it was harmful. I understand that they were also a product of the influences and the things they couldn't control, what families they were born into, what religions they were born into, the experiences that they had that confirmed or denied those things, etc. So I'm just doing my part along the causal chain of hopefully getting information in front of people that can help them wake up to some of the realities of this life. And yeah, maybe that makes me all the horrendous things that so many commenters say about me about how I know best and I'm the only one that found the truth. I don't think that at all. I think that we can't know so many things, but I think we can know some things. And I feel very grateful to be able to have realized that one of the things we can know is that particular God claims can be falsified, the God of the Bible being one of them. And I'm so grateful to be free of that religion. If you watch my video on Tuesday, you can see just how much harm there is in the religion. And that's one tiny aspect of it, the inner battle of your own voice being deceptive to you. And it's avoidable to a degree. Again, I still think there's a lot of work to do on handling your thoughts and learning how to critically think, etc. But removing God and Satan from the equation is a huge leap forward, and I'm so grateful to have made that leap. I'm grateful for you guys who watch and comment and share and encourage, and though all the negative comments and all of the attacks, etc. are not fun, and even though sometimes I react very poorly to them, which I apologize for, and it's something I'm endeavoring to do better, I understand why they're doing what they're doing, because I've been fortunate enough to just have a brain that works this way, that's been exposed to certain books and concepts and people that have allowed me this perspective. So I'm not even sure what the point of this video is or was, but I would hope that I'm getting across to you that even as a non-believer who doesn't believe in the gods that most people believe in, and thinks we probably don't have good reason to believe in a God in general, I assure you, we are not so different. And I can enjoy the sunset and the kids and the wife and the friends and the good meal and the sense of security and comfort just as much as you can. And I want that for as many people as possible. And it's not going to happen through prayer. And it's not going to happen through missions trips. And it's not going to happen through proselytizing. And it's not going to happen by beating yourself up with shame and guilt or bleeding yourself dry through time, money, and energy spent into furthering the work and the will of God that is most of the time at odds with the will and the work of man. Most Christians have been trained to think that anything that's not of God is evil. And so when I say a comment like I just said, I can almost feel you through the camera recoil. But is it so bad to want there to be less suffering on this planet? Is it so bad to recognize that maybe it's not justified, that maybe there's no compensation coming, or that even if there was, it wouldn't compensate for the immense amount of suffering that we have? So you can keep putting your money in the tithing and offering plates and feeling good about the work you're doing for the kingdom. And I understand why you would feel that way, and I don't condemn you for doing so. But I would encourage you to understand the limits of that kind of generosity. There's a movement, and it has some bad press. It's effective altruism. And it's something that I've been really interested in for the last few years, really since my deconversion, when I decided to stop tithing and offering and wanted to know, how can I do the best with my money? And that led me down a really long rabbit hole that I won't share with you now. But there is a wonderful book that I'd share with you called Doing Good Better by Will McCaskill. And it lays out the principles of this. And again, you can abuse this, and there are errors with it, but generally speaking, the concept is to give as effectively as possible. And so on Thanksgiving, a day when we're grateful, a day when we might consider what we could do to help others, I'd encourage you for sure, give to the channel if you feel as passionately as I do about helping people who are in the process of doubting, deconverting, and deconstructing. But also looking out at our greater world, if you're looking at what to do with your money more effectively and you're feeling generous because of your gratitude, I'm going to put some links in the description down below where you can learn about stretching your dollar further when you give it. One of the foundations that I give through is called the Give Well Foundation, and they have a Give Well fund where you can just give the money there and they spend it as wisely as possible, and they have great audits so you can see where it's going, how the needs change, and why it's the most effective use of your money. So I do know I wanted to be able to share that with you because a big goal of this channel is creating real and tangible change in the world. And I think where I can fit in the best is helping people who are specifically stuck in the Christian religion to escape the harm of that religion. But I would also hope that as this channel grows and the reach widens, we can do even more with it. We can help struggling families. We can give to good causes together. And I'm going to be looking at the best ways to be doing that in the new year. So until then, check out some of the information down below. Again, I know a lot of this has the potential to come off disconnected from the reality that so many of you are facing, where you can't fathom having the spare income to give anything at all. I understand. There is no judgment. And I'm not naive enough to think that I, as one person with one channel, am going to change the world. But I do believe in some real practical things that I think as they get adopted by more and more people have that potential. Determinism is one of them. I think we're all messed up about justice. And I'll do a whole video on this in the future because many of you have asked me many questions about this. And it is connected to religion because religion is what claims justice is so important. It's important to be rewarded when you're good, and it's important to be punished when you're bad. Boo. If our goodness or badness is out of our control, which I believe for the most part that it is, at least from our prior circumstances and the causal chains, etc., we need to rethink how we encourage people to do better things in the future, and we need to rethink what we do with people when they mess up. It's not a free pass. It's not an excuse. People still need to have accountability. There still needs to be repercussions. But rehabilitation should at the very least be a real goal. And yes, some people simply cannot be rehabilitated and they'll need to be separated. But our prison system is a joke. And I know I sound like I'm on a big moral high horse right now, but a lot of those systems are in place and the thinking is so ingrained because of religion. And I believe that the more and more people that leave religion and wake up to certain realities, I believe as those numbers grow, the potential for positive change can also grow. Being good stewards of our planet and of other species and of our own mental health, etc. These are the things that give me meaning. I believe in them. I believe in their power and their potential. They could go the other way. We've had a whole lot of world history with religion at the helm to see how that goes. I don't think we've had a real fair shake at any humanist endeavor yet, not at large. And it could be abused also because we're people and we're fallible. We're not evil. We're not covered in sin. We're not lowly like dirt where even our good deeds are like filthy rags. We're just people. And that understanding I am so grateful for because it has opened the doors to how I view this world. Thank you for being here. I'm grateful for you guys, this channel, this opportunity. I'm encouraged and motivated by you guys every single day. That's huge. That's something so many people don't have. I'm sincerely thankful. I'd be remiss if I didn't also say that the three most important people in my life are my wife and my two beautiful kids, and I am beyond grateful for their impact in my life and what I get to be in theirs. Christianity does not have a monopoly on feeling, on purpose, on meaning, or on gratitude. Those are human conditions. I'm a human, you're a human. We all have them. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful holiday. Happy Thanksgiving. And until next time, keep thinking. I wanted to personally thank my top tiers of support, my Iconoclast, GVI, Jacob, Jason, Joe, Oliver, and Shawn, my Humanist heroes, Jarrod, Karolina, and Kristi, my Atheist advocates, Anne, Elijah, Rokkit, Sparky, and Todd, as well as all of my secular scholar patrons. If you believe in the mission of this channel, or you just enjoy its content, please consider joining these fine patrons. Thanks, and have a great day.